Good day and God bless everyone, especially to you, Mom. Today I will be reporting the universal hypothesis theory, and I was tasked to report the introduction of the universal hypothesis theory up to two approaches learner processing input. Introduction. The universal hypothesis theory states that the language acquisition is governed by the way in which natural language are organized. That is, certain universal linguistic properties influence the order in which the rules of a specific language are acquired. According to the universal hypothesis theory, then it is linguistic rather than general cognitive factors that determine acquisition. So according to the introduction, universal hypothesis theory is the process by which humans acquire natural language systematically and also gain the ability to be aware and understand language as well as to produce and use words or sentences to communicate using language pattern. In short, universal hypothesis theory or the universal grammar theory according to the philosopher Noam Chomsky. Every human has already an innate or inborn skills in their brain. Why universal hypothesis theory is linguistic rather than cognitive factors? So while universal hypothesis theory is linguistic because it is concerned with the nature of language and communication, either using verbal and nonverbal communication for as long as the message will be transmitted. While on the other hand, we have cognitive factors, which use imagery for memorization only, or something that exists in our mind could be repeated, summarized, and organized. Are the differences between linguistics and cognitive? Well, linguistic or the language is the way we communicate with each other using a verbal non-verbal communication. While cognitive is how we think, what we think, and why we think. So cognitive is just only exists in our mind. Universal hypothesis. A language pattern or phenomenon which occurs in all languages. For example, it has been suggested that if language has dual number for referring to just through something, it also the plural number for referring to or more than two. This type of universal is sometimes called an implication universal. Is universal hypothesis theory? While universal hypothesis theory is a language pattern or phenomenon which occurs in all known languages. So consider that there are rules and patterns used in all known languages to make the words, sentences, and grammars are correct. In addition, it will also help students to develop their learning, understanding, as well as cognitive thinking. Like for example, if all languages have nouns and pronoun, or if a language is spoken, consider that it has a consonant and vowel sound. It's on the assumption that linguistic knowledge is homogeneous and therefore ignores variability. The hypothesis, in other words, it is a statement of expectation and prediction between two something, or it is an idea that is proposed for the sake of argument so that it can be tested to see if it might be true. This will help learners to acquire new language and develop the process of his or her first and second language acquisition. How does the first language have an influence on language learning? The first language of a learner might have an influence over foreign language learning, either by acting as a source for the learners to understand how the language works when first language and the foreign language are similar. In addition, universal hypothesis in linguistic knowledge is a represents a grammar which defines all and only the possible sentences of the value of universal hypothesis for second language acquisition theory is twofold. First, focus attention on the nature and the target language itself. Second, it provides a suitable and persuasive reconsideration of transfer as an important factor in second language acquisition. The value of universal hypothesis theory for SLA theory is twofold. First, It is very important that we must focus our attention on the target language itself, or the target language that we wanted to learn further. Second, there are factors to consider that greatly influence someone in the process of his or her second language acquisition. These factors are the motivation, attitude, age, cognitive style, as well as personality. Two approaches of learners processing input. First, using general cognitive strategies which are part of their procedural knowledge and which are used in other forms of learning. These strategies are often to as a learner's strategies. Second, using a special linguistic faculty that enables them to operate and input data in order to discover the 12 rules in maximally efficient ways. These linguistic faculties referred to as universal grammar. Two approaches of learners processing input. First is general cognitive strategies. It is a type of learning that learners use in order to learn more. It is also another form of learning that is often used as a learner's strategies. When we are going to use these strategies, we're going to use these strategies especially when we are in the discussion. Like for example, encouraging discussion of what is being. Two approaches of learners processing input. First is general cognitive strategies. It is a type of learning that learners use in order to learn more. It is also another form of learning that is often used as a learner's strategies. When we are going to use these strategies, we're going to use these strategies especially when we are in the discussion. Like for example, encouraging discussion of what is being taught, helping students explore and understand how ideas are connected. Also asking students to justify and explain their thinking using visualization to improve student understanding and recall. This type of strategies includes repetition, organizing new language, and summarizing meaning from the context using imagery for memorization. Second is spatial linguistic faculty. So we all know already that what is linguistics. So linguistic is the scientific study of a language. It is more focused on linguistic structure, which includes phonetics, semantics, and pragmatics. Though there are many types of linguistic structure, but I only remember these three structures. So linguistic is also concerned with the nature of language and communication. So in communication, we will not only use verbal cues such as written and spoken, but we can also use the nonverbal cues such as facial expression, eye contact, body posture, and gesture, as well as body language to transfer messages from one person to another. So that will be all. Thank you.